The sky changed color just before noon. In every country, every city, people looked up. The clouds didn't move. Birds stopped flying. The air felt heavy, like something terrible was coming. A strange humming filled the air, low, deep, and dumb, unnatural. Then they arrived. From behind the clouds, huge black ships appeared. 10, 50, 100. More than anyone could count, they were silent. They didn't flash. They didn't shoot. They just floated high above Earth like watchers. Like monsters waiting for something. In New York, cars crashed as drivers looked up in fear. In Tokyo, the trains stopped running. In Cairo, prayers paused mid-sentence. In the International Space Station, astronauts stared in horror. Above them, one of the ships was so big, it blocked the sunlight. People thought it was a dream, but it wasn't. The world was no longer alone. The President of the United States called for calm. World leaders connected on emergency lines. Military bases went into full alert. Nuclear missiles were aimed at the sky, but no one attacked. No one made the first move. Then, exactly at midnight UTC, the ship spoke. A signal. A voice. It came. Through every speaker, every screen, every phone. It wasn't a human voice. It was cold, emotionless, made of static and growls. The translation came afterward, not from the aliens, but from human computers trying to understand the signal. We are the Zarkith Dominion. Your planet is now claimed. Your species is no longer required. Surrender, and you may serve. Resist and be erased. That was the message. And then the attack began. Lasers fell from the sky like red rain. Cities exploded. Fighter jets tried to fight back, but were burned midair. Missiles launched, but the Zarkith shields were too strong. In just 4 hours, 20 major cities were turned into dust. London, Beijing, Moscow, Delhi, Sydney, all gone. The internet went quiet. News channels went black. People ran, screamed, prayed, and then something strange happened. The Zarketh expected. Global surrender. They waited for humans to kneel. But what they got was silence. The aliens landed in cities to take control, but found them empty. Humans had vanished. Streets were abandoned. No soldiers, no police, no leaders. No resistance. Only ruins. And silence. Zarkith commanders grew confused. Species is primitive, they said. Where did they go? They searched buildings. They scanned the ground. They looked underground. But there was no one. Some alien units began disappearing. 2. One scout team in Paris never returned. Another in São Paulo stopped sending signals. Zarkith sensors picked up something strange. Heartbeat sounds. Dozens of them. Moving in the dark. But when their drones investigated, there was nothing there. Just shadows. Just silence. Just fear. In a secret base hidden deep under Alaska, a man named Colonel Voss watched the alien invasion through satellite. Feeds. He didn't speak. He didn't panic. He simply pressed a red button. Activate Protocol 7, he said. The scientists around him looked shocked. But sir, I know what it is, he said. Over the world. Hidden human facilities received the command. Unknown to the aliens, Earth had a final defense. One not of machines or missiles, but of humans trained for this moment. Not soldiers, not politicians, but survivors. Hunters. Ghosts. They had no uniforms. They had no mercy. They had only one job: make the invaders afraid. 1 hour later, a Zarkith patrol in Berlin found a strange sin painted on a wall in red. It was written in English. You should not have come here. The soldier who saw it laughed. Then the lights went out, and the screaming began. The Zarketh soldiers moved through the city of Berlin, their metal boots clicking against the empty streets. The air was cold. Smoke rose from the buildings they had destroyed only hours ago. But now, everything was quiet. Too quiet. No humans, no noise, no resistance, only silence. And eyes. Alien Commander Ralzek scanned the surroundings with his helmet. Visor, thermal scanners, nothing. Life signs, none. But still, he had a strange feeling, like they were being watched. He ordered his squad to keep moving. Elsewhere. Across Earth, other patrol teams walked through lifeless cities. In Los Angeles, the streets were covered in ash. In Mumbai, the rain washed blood down the roads. London, Big Ben stood, half destroyed. But no human bodies were found. The aliens didn't understand. They had killed millions from orbit. But now there were no corpses, no cries, no survivors. Only one thing was always there, those strange red symbols painted on walls. Sometimes it was just a handprint. Sometimes words, "We see you, you are not safe. This planet bites back," alien soldiers joked at first. Primitive scare tactics, one said. But inside, many of them felt something, cold chill, fear. Commander Ralzek entered. An old human police station. The building was dark. Dust floated in the air. Lights flickered. "Clear the rooms," he ordered. 2 Zarkith soldiers entered the left hallway. They didn't return. 10 seconds. No sound. Ralzek tried to call them. No answer. He sent 2 more. This time screams came back short, sharp, cut off by static. His claws tightened on his weapon. Something was wrong. He ordered the rest of the unit to fall back. But before they could reach the exit, the door slammed. Shut behind them, locked from the outside. Then, a voice whispered through the station speakers. It was human. It spoke in perfect Zarketh language. "You think we are weak? You think we are gone? We are under your feet. We are in your walls." Shouted orders. His troops fired at the walls. The shadows moved faster than bullets. One by one, his soldiers were pulled into darkness. No blood, no bodies, just silence again. In orbit above Earth, the Zarketh High Council reviewed strange reports. 1. Ship in South America lost all ground forces. Another in Africa went silent for hours, then sent back only static. Drones went missing in caves and subway tunnels. One ship showed a short video before it vanished. A human face covered in a gas mask walked slowly toward the alien camera. Behind him, a group of enhanced humans, silent and still. Their eyes glowed faint blue. Then the video glitched and ended. The council was worried now. Why do they not fight openly? Where are their leaders? Why do they hide? No one had answers. The Zarketh came to conquer, not to play games. But now Earth felt like a trap. That night, another patrol disappeared, this time in Paris. Their final message said, "The walls are bleeding. We see children, laughing, red eyes. No escape." It didn't make sense. Aliens thought it was a tech problem, the virus they didn't know. It was fear, real fear. Back underground, Colonel Voss stood in a dark control room. Dozens of screens showed live feeds, alien positions, patrols, heat maps, weak spots. He turned to a silent group of men and women behind him, dressed in black, armored faces hidden. "Targets are confirmed."
Us.
Said, "You know the rules. No trace, no mercy."
The group.
Nodded. One of them, a woman with a scar down her cheek, smiled. Time to remind them what Earth means. The next day, the Zarkith ship over Cairo exploded. There was no warning, no missile trail, no escape pods, just fire. Silence. In silence. In the ashes of that blast, painted on the black stone of a broken building, was one sentence. "Welcome to hell." Deep under the Rocky Mountains, in a bunker older than most governments, a machine came to life. Its screens glowed blue, its core hummed. It had not been touched in over 30 years, and yet it woke up exactly as programmed when Earth was no longer safe above. On the surface, the world burned. Alien warships still hovered. Human cities were ruins. Satellites fell from the sky. The Zarketh Dominion thought the war was over. But underground, something ancient had just begun. Colonel Voss walked through a cold steel hallway. Beside him, Dr. Helena Miles typed on a small tablet. "How many sites have responded to Protocol 7? He asked. 12, she said. 3 are already active. The rest are preparing. Boss nodded. Any signs of psychological stress? He asked. She hesitated. Some, but that's expected. We grew them in war. We trained them for silence. No. They're doing exactly what they were made for. In another part of the facility, a group of humans stood inside dark chambers. They weren't regular soldiers. They didn't speak. Their bodies were stronger, faster, modified with nanotech and neural upgrades. They were raised without names. Only numbers. Their minds were connected to combat systems. Their memories were filled with one thing: how to kill invaders. They were Earth's last defense. And they had just been released, above ground. The Zarkith were growing confused and angry. Every patrol in major cities kept vanishing. Ships went. Dark troops disappeared without sound or trace. In Washington, D.C., a team of 40 elite Zarkith soldiers entered a ruined government building. Only one made it out. He couldn't speak. He just stared forward, shaking, repeating one word. Eyes, eyes, eyes. When asked what happened, his translator broke. The sound it produced wasn't a word. It was a scream. Zarkith commanders gathered in orbit. We underestimated this species, one said. They are not fighting like others we've conquered. They are not fighting, another replied. They are hunting. That night, 3 more ships exploded. From Earth? No, from within. Sabotage, the humans had learned Zarkef systems. They were hacking ships, reprogramming drones, using the enemy's tools against them. In South America, Zarkith troops found a human bunker. They thought it was a base dot inside. They found only files. Old data, names, pictures, and one short video. It showed a young child, no older than 6, standing in a steel room. A voice behind the camera said, "What do we do if invaders come, Echo?" The child smiled. "We make them scared." Then the screen went black. The alien troops laughed. Seconds later, the room exploded. None survived. At Zarkov High Command began to grow. The Dominion had destroyed thousands of species before, but never like this. Never with fear. Never with shadows. They started to evacuate cities, pull troops back, reinforce ships. But Earth had already changed. In an old lab in Iceland, Protocol 7 finished loading. A synthetic voice spoke, genetic. Limiters removed. Combat AI online. Hunter units released. In the snowy dark, strange figures walked across the ice. They were not quite human anymore, but they still bled for Earth. One of them whispered, "We are not soldiers. We are what? Waits in the dark." Across the world, symbols began appearing again. This time the Zarketh tried to remove them. They burned the walls, tore down buildings, painted over the warnings, but the symbols always returned. Written in ash, in blood, in laser scars across their own ships. Protocol 7 is active. Leave Earth or be buried in it. Verkith. No. Longer felt like conquerors. They felt like prey. The sky above Earth was full of fire. At 3:27 a.m. UTC, one of the Zarketh Hive ships, orbiting over the Atlantic Ocean, suddenly exploded.
Ow. No warning, no alarm.
No sign of attack, just a ball of blue fire, and then silence. 300,000 alien lives gone in a second. The Zarketh called it a technical error. They told their soldiers not to panic, but deep inside their command centers, fear began to grow. Hive ships never failed. Never. They had stood above 1,000 worlds, untouched by any weapon. But now, one was gone. Commander Trakel stood inside the observation dome of Hive Vessel Harashk. His skin was pale purple, his face hard like stone. He watched the burning debris float through space. How did this happen? He asked. His second-in-command hesitated. We do not know. The ship's logs were erased before impact. No external weapons detected, but something strange was found in the wreckage. He handed the commander a report. It showed a piece of alien armor, Zarkath technology, but fused with human bone. Welded to it was a strange human-made chip. Glowing faint blue dot, Commander Trakel clenched his claws. The humans have learned our tech, he said quietly, and now they are using it. Far below, in an old lab under Norway's mountains, human engineers celebrated. Protocol 7 was no longer just defense, it was offense. They had hacked into a crashed Zarkith drone weeks ago. Its systems, they learned how the hive ships' power cores worked now. Small human teams were being launched secretly into orbit. Each team carried hacked Zarkith parts and old Soviet rockets. Each mission had one goal: break their ships from the inside, in orbit. Zarkith soldiers began hearing whispers through their COMs. First static, then clicks, then words, human voices, laughing. One message repeated over and over: "You used to be gods. Now you float like corpses." In the bunker command room, Colonel Voss leaned over the table, pointing to a screen. "All teams report success. New target, ship cluster over Asia. They think they're safe." Dr. Helena nodded. "We'll make sure they don't feel safe again." Looked at the map, her eyes cold. "These are not battles," she said. "These are warnings." Zarkith ships began pulling away from Earth's orbit, but they had nowhere to go. Humans had satellites, drones, and hidden weapons in every direction. Earth was not just defending, Earth was chasing. Onboard high vessel Darash, soldiers watched as another fleet ship blinked out of existence. No explosion this time, no fire, just vanishing, as if something pulled it into the dark. Later its wreckage fell into the Pacific Ocean, half melted, filled with claw marks that weren't Zarkris. In a dark forest near Siberia, a Zarkith drop. Pod crashed. Its survivor crawled out, gasping, wounded. He looked up and froze. A small human child stood in front of him. Maybe 6 years old? No fear, no emotion. The alien's weapon locked up. Wouldn't fire. Then she spoke, voice flat, mechanical, emotionless. "You killed my mother from the sky." The Zarkith tried to run, but the child wasn't alone. Behind her, 6 others stepped out of the trees. Older, silent, eyes glowing. They didn't run. They just watched as the forest swallowed the alien whole. Zarkith High Command was falling apart. Admirals shouted at each other. Data officers couldn't explain anything. Engineers tore apart systems looking for bugs, but found nothing. One admiral screamed, "They're not following war logic." "This is madness," another replied. "No. This is how humans fight when they have nothing left to lose." Meanwhile, Earth's resistance spread. Underground cities came alive. Hidden bunkers opened. Old nations that once hated each other now worked together. They built new weapons using Zarkath scraps and human minds. They launched invisible satellites. They created virus codes that infected alien ships mid-flight. And above it all, they sent one message through every frequency: "Leave now or burn next." Commander Trakel watched the fires in the sky. Another ship, his cousin's, exploded above Africa. He said nothing. But inside, he understood what the others still denied. The humans were not fighting a war. They were delivering a warning. Deep under the Nevada desert, far below Area 12, a base so secret even human presidents didn't know it existed, a red light blinked. For the first time in 40 years, it was a silent alarm. It meant one thing: the vault had been opened. In orbit, a Zarkith warlord named Karzel received the signal from his ground teams. The humans were hiding something massive underground. For weeks, they had failed to locate Earth's command structure. Now they believed they had found it. Karzel ordered 200 of his best warriors into drop pods. Their mission: enter the base, capture its leaders, destroy its systems. The pods shot through the atmosphere like black comets. They landed hard, drilled fast. Within minutes, the aliens entered the top levels of the underground facility, and they walked straight into the trap. The hallways were silent. It's too silent, no resistance, no power, no sound, except a slow, deep hum. The alien soldiers moved in groups, weapons ready. Their scanners showed empty rooms. But heat signatures flickered. In the walls, strange symbols glowed faint red under their feet. One alien pointed to the wall. It was covered in claw marks. Zerkith's claw marks. But no Zerkith had ever been here. One soldier muttered, "This place doesn't feel human." He was right. As they moved deeper, lights began flickering. A voice echoed through the halls, old, metallic, human but wrong. "Welcome, visitors. You are entering Vault 17. Containment level breached. We apologize for your death." The lights went out. Screams followed. One squad reached a door labeled Sector Echo Black. Inside was a massive chamber, frozen in thick glass. Inside that glass, something alive, tall, twisted, human-shaped, but wrong. Bones on the outside, metal growing from its skin. Its eyes glowed red, and its heart pulsed like a machine. A data file on a nearby screen labeled it Project Revenant Human Zarkith Hybrid. Status dormant. The alien commander stepped back. "What is this?" he whispered. The screen blinked. Status update. Active. The glass cracked. Above ground. Hidden satellites watched silently. In a dark room in Alaska, Colonel Voss saw the data flash across the screen. "They opened Vault 17, he said. Dr. Helena turned pale, but that wasn't part of the plan. "They made their choice," Voss replied. "Now they face what we feared most." Back underground, the screams grew louder. Zarkith soldiers fired blindly. But the shadows moved faster than bullets. From the darkness, figures stepped out. Not human, not alien. They were echo units, twisted beings built from human flesh and Zarkith tissue. Once dead soldiers, now reborn as weapons of pain. They didn't speak. They didn't feel. They only hunted. One alien tried to call for help. The message never reached orbit. "Commander." Carcel watched the feed, only flashing lights and static. Then, a final video came through. A human stood over a pile of dead Zarkith. He wore no armor. His face was burned, one eye glowing with alien energy. He stared into the camera. "You should not have gone below," he said. "Now you've woken the dead." Within hours, the entire strike team was gone. No bodies were recovered. Only one. Alien ship made it out half destroyed, hull melted, crew silent. It drifted into orbit with one sentence burned into its outer shell. "This is not your world." Back in space, the Zarkith Command Council panicked. They demanded answers. One shouted, "What are these creatures?" Another said, "Why did they mix our DNA with their dead? That is madness." Commander Trakel stood up. His voice was quiet but firm. "It's not madness. It's revenge. You bombed their cities. You killed their children. And now they're using your own blood to build monsters." No one spoke. For the first time, the Zarkith felt something they had never felt before. Guilt, meanwhile, deep in. The Nevada Vault, the hybrid known as Revenant 1, walked free. He looked at his twisted hand. Part metal, part alien. He whispered, "I remember pain. Now I will share it." In the ruins of old Detroit, the rain fell hard. Burned cars, broken streets, and shattered glass painted the city like a grave. Alien patrols moved carefully through the fog, their weapons scanning every shadow. They weren't afraid of guns. They were afraid of whispers. Because in this place, something hunted them, and it wasn't human in the way they understood. 6 Zarketh soldiers entered a collapsed school building. The roof had fallen in classrooms. Turned to ash, strange drawings covered the walls, made with chalk, blood, and something that glowed green dot. One drawing showed Zarkith ships burning. Another showed small human figures with red eyes, standing over alien corpses. A third showed a sentence. In shaky handwriting, "You took our toys. Now we take your bones." In orbit, the Zarkith High Council received new battlefield reports. The patterns were disturbing. Units destroyed with no sign of battle. Weapons missing, sometimes used. Against their own troops, and always near ruins of schools, playgrounds, orphan homes, one commander growled, "We killed their warriors." "Why are their children fighting?" Gungar officer replied softly. Because you left them with nothing else. In a hidden underground facility in Colorado, a woman named Dr. Ellen Reyes watched a group of children through a glass window. They weren't like others, eh? Boy no older than 10 floated small objects in the air with his mind. A girl in the corner read 3 books at once, blinking faster than humanly possible. Another child, arms crossed, stared into the glass, like he could see her. These were the Ragaborn survivors of the first alien bombings, found in the rubble, orphaned by war. They were taken in by Protocol 7 and reshaped. Not with machines, but with rage so deep it woke hidden parts of the human mind. Colonel Voss entered the room. How many are ready? Dr. Reyes hesitated. 15? Maybe more. But you must understand.
Yes.
They don't think like normal children anymore. They've seen too much. Voss nodded. Good, then they'll understand what must be done. He turned to the intercom and spoke calmly. Children, the ones who hurt your families are still here. They walk your cities, burn your homes, laugh at your pain. Will you let them continue? The boy who floated objects let them fall, he whispered without emotion. No. Back in Detroit, the 6 alien soldiers explored deeper into the school. Suddenly, a lullaby echoed through the halls, a human child's voice, soft, singing ashes, ... Ashes, ... They all fall down. The aliens froze. One turned and saw a small figure at the end of the hall. A child, alone. He stepped forward, unsure. The child raised her hand. The alien's gun locked. Wouldn't fire. Then her eyes turned bright. Red, and the walls around him moved. Out of the shadows came more children, silent, calm, and then screaming. In space, Zarketh's sensors picked up a strange signal from Earth's ruins. It wasn't military, wasn't coded. It was music, children singing, laughing, and underneath that sound, something darker, a pattern made of numbers, virus. It spread into Zarketh's systems. Locked ships in orbit. Turned drones against masters. Cracked encryption codes built over centuries. The aliens tried to shut it down, but it was too late. At Zarketh command, chaos broke out. Ship lights dimmed. Systems glitched. Soldier shouted, "How is this possible? It's not even a weapon." An AI technician answered, terrified. "It's a memory, a child's memory. We're feeding pain into the network." Down on Earth, Ragaborn children moved like shadows. They didn't fight in armies. They didn't use tanks or aircraft. They used their minds, their rage, their trauma. They made illusions that confused alien eyes, turned sound into fear. Taught drones to speak with human voices. One alien general tried to reason with a captured boy. "Why do you fight?" he asked. "Our children? You should run, hide." The boy stared at him with cold eyes and answered, "You killed our parents. Now we kill your future." Then the lights went out. And the general was never seen again. The Zarketh began calling them the ghost, children. But they weren't ghosts. They were what was left when a species was broken and refused to stay broken in the sky.
Ow.
More Zarketh ships began leaving Earth's orbit. They didn't call it retreat. They called it strategic redirection. Everyone knew what it really was. It was fear. The sky above Earth was no longer black with fear. It burned orange with fire. Zarketh's ships spun out of orbit, some exploding mid-air, others crashing into oceans or mountains. No missiles, no giant Earth weapons. Just collapse. Something had changed. Something the Zarketh couldn't see, but they could hear it. On board the flagship Zaren's hand, alarms screamed, crew members shouted, lights flickered red. Our AI systems showed total confusion. No external attack, no weapons impact, but the ship's controls were no longer in their hands. Then, through every speaker, every helmet, every earpiece, a voice spoke. Human, cold, Tom. You thought we were finished? But you forgot something. We built the code that runs your weapons, and then laughter. Not cruel, not angry, just human. Weeks earlier, in a hidden lab beneath a destroyed university in Prague, a group of human engineers, young, angry, Brilliant worked with shattered Zarketh tech. They didn't have missiles. They had keyboards. Their group called itself the Echo Minds, connected by a neural link. These hackers didn't just control drones, they became them. They moved through. Code like fish through water. They spoke in algorithms. They played in firewalls. And now, they had entered the Zarkath network. From the inside, Colonel Voss stood in front of a giant digital map. He smiled. The Echo Minds say they've taken over 37% of their fleet systems. They're targeting oxygen next. Dr. Reyes raised her eyebrows. That's dangerous. They burned our cities, he replied. They don't get to breathe easy. Back in orbit, chaos ruled. Zarketh ships fired on each other. Some engines reversed mid-flight. Life support failed in sealed rooms. Crew members suffocated. While the ship's music systems played human songs, jazz, rock, lullabies, war drums, each ship, a haunted house of noise and code. In a Zarketh war chamber, a general slammed his fist down. Who is doing this? Where is their army? A commander responded, trembling. There is no army. There are only mines, and they're everywhere. On the ground, a lone Zarketh scout walked through a burned-out city in Brazil. Suddenly, every streetlight blinked on. Then one by one, every screen lit up phones. TVs, broken tablets, storefront monitors. They all showed the same thing. A single human eye. Watching then, low voice. We learned from your tech. We took it apart, and we made it better. All the lights exploded at once. Back at EchoMind HQ, a young woman named Lyra. Disconnected from the neural net, her nose bled. Her body shook. Are you okay? Her partner asked. She smiled faintly. I just rewrote a battleship's AI using a child's song. I'm great. The Zarketh tried to respond. They shut down their comms, changed their codes, scrambled systems. But it was like fighting ghosts with blindfolds on. Nothing worked. Everything they built. The humans turned against them. One Zarketh. Captain screamed into his command chair. They are not soldiers. They are viruses wearing skin. Aboard the last operational mothership, Commander Trakel watched a human drone float through space toward them, small, unarmed. But it carried a message. He opened the signal. It was just a voice, not yelling, not mocking, just tired. You came to conquer Earth. You gave us war. We gave you mercy. But you kept coming. So now, we give you fire. Moments later, that same drone slipped into the ship's ventilation systems and released a self-replicating virus built from alien, the Chote and Earth Rage. The ship burned from the inside out. Zarketh finally said what they once thought impossible. Retreat. It was too late. Their map of Earth was no longer red. It was black, meaning no communication. No access, no control. The humans now owned their own world again, and they were looking upward. Colonel Voss looked at the screen and spoke to all remaining Echo Mind operators. You've done your job well, but it's not over, because now we follow them. The map zoomed out. Earth's new satellites, built from stolen alien tech, showed dozens of escape ships leaving the solar system. The humans weren't done, not yet, and on the edge of Earth's orbit. One last Zarketh escape vessel found a message burned into its hull by laser fire. You were the fire. Now you burn. Far beyond Earth's orbit, the last of the Zarketh ships limped through space, damaged, dark, and afraid. What was once a proud invasion fleet of over 200 vessels was now reduced to 9. Their soldiers whispered there. Commanders argued. But deep down, they all knew the truth. They had not just lost a war, they had woken something they did not understand. In the deepest chamber of the lead escape ship, Commander Trakel stood before a star map. His hands trembled as he watched Earth grow smaller behind them. Beside him, his AI unit stuttered, its voice broken, route to homeworld calculated. Warning. Unknown satellites detected near trajectory. Transmission incoming. Narrowed his eyes. From who? The answer came from every console, every speaker, every screen on every ship. It was a human voice. calm, cold, final to the Zarketh Dominion. You came to conquer. You came to burn. But Earth does not kneel. Earth learns. Earth adapts. Earth remembers. The fleet tried to block the transmission. But it wasn't just a message. It was a program built with Zarketh code, fed through human pain. It forced itself into their systems. Their screens flickered. And then a video played. Images. Real ones. Children pulled from rubble, staring into cameras. Cities turned to dust. Alien ships falling in fire. Human eyes glowing with something new. Not hope, not fear, but resolve. Then the voice continued. You thought we were weak, but every time you destroyed us, you made us stronger. You left us with no choice. So now we leave you with one. Never return. 'Cause next time, we won't stop at defense. We won't stop at orbit. We will follow. We will find you. We will end you. And when we are done, your stars will forget your name. Message ended, but something new appeared. A symbol. Not Zarketh. Not human. Something in between. The mark of the Protocol 7 warriors. The Echo Mines. The Ragaborn. All united into one message. It pulsed with red light and then vanished. The silence that followed in the Zarketh fleet was deeper than space. No one moved. Trakel finally spoke. Mark Earth as a red world. No return ever. The others nodded. Even the warlords, proud and cruel, said nothing, because they had seen what Earth came when cornered, and they knew. They hadn't just lost a planet. They had created their worst enemy, back on Earth. The skies were calm for the first time in months. Children played in the streets of rebuilt towns. Drones flew silently overhead, watching, protecting. Burned cities began to bloom again, with plants, buildings, and murals. On the remains of the Eiffel Tower, someone painted the words, "We are still here." Inside the Global Command Center, Colonel Voss stood with Dr. Reyes, watching the stars through a digital telescope. "Do you think they'll come back?" she asked. He shook his head. "No," he said. "They'll warn others to stay away." "If someone doesn't listen?" she asked. Voss looked at the screen, at the new human fleet being built, part alien tech, part human fury. He smiled. "Then we'll teach them what Earth taught the Zarketh." In deep space, long after the last Zarketh ship vanished, a small human probe floated past a gas giant. It carried no weapons, only a beacon, and a simple message in every known language: we are humanity. We do not start wars, but we remember. We survive, and we end them. Your warning has been sent. Earth is not prey. Earth is the storm.